Hey guys, Sean here, welcome to the F1 Word and to my qualifying report for the 2018 Chinese Grand Prix. I'm going to start off by saying, if you haven't yet seen the session, it's probably best to turn away now and pop back a little bit later to watch the video, because obviously it is going to contain spoilers. Once again then, it was an interesting qualifying session with a few surprises in there, particularly early on in the session. But for the second weekend in a row, it was Sebastian Vettel who took pole position for Ferrari with a lap time of a 1:31.095, a hell of a lap. And to be fair, it looked as though Kimi Raikkonen had him in his pocket through Q1 and Q2. But once again, as we saw in Bahrain, Sebastian Vettel just had a little bit too much for Raikkonen on that final run, and it was so close between the two of them. Just under 9/100ths of a second. Absolutely nothing in it at all. Kimi Raikkonen so resurgent this season. It's brilliant to see. And of course, that is Ferrari's second consecutive front row lockout. The first time they've done that since 2006, which just goes to show how good Ferrari are looking in the early part of 2018. Long way to go this season and this weekend, of course. Behind them, though, the gap is somewhat surprising. Valtteri Bottas half a second off the pace, with his teammate half a tenth behind him in fourth. I don't know how much we can realistically read into that. Mercedes, to be fair, look to be struggling to switch on the ultra soft tyre, but they do look stronger on the softs, and their race pace also looks solid. But when interviewed after the session, Lewis Hamilton said, "I don't know if we can challenge. We are half a second behind them today." So there is definitely concern there at Mercedes, but as I keep saying, it's only qualifying and points are handed out on a Sunday. So at this stage, Ferrari look like favourites, but you never know when it comes to race day. Max Verstappen starts ahead of his teammate Daniel Ricciardo there, 5th and 6th for Red Bull. A really miserable Saturday initially for Daniel Ricciardo, but I think he'll be fairly happy with that. I will come on to that in just a moment though. Nico Hülkenberg, once again, the 6th race in a row that he has started 7th place on the grid. As ever, seems to be Mr. Consistent, and once again seemed to slip under the radar this weekend. He's looked really good, to be fair to him. Sergio Perez, a much better weekend for Force India so far. He starts in 8th place. Carlos Sainz will start in 9th place, and Romain Grosjean for Haas will start in 10th. In terms of strategy for the race, the top 4 will all start on the soft tyre, and 5th through to 10th will all be on the ultra softs. That could mix it up very nicely early on in the Grand Prix. Kevin Magnussen, P11 for Haas. I think he'll be very disappointed with that. Not a million miles away from his teammates' lap times, but certainly expected more from Haas this weekend, although they do look good on race pace. Esteban Ocon, he starts P12. Like I say, Force India are looking much better this weekend. And as we've said for the first 2 Grand Prix, it is so close in that midfield. Fernando Alonso will start in P13 with Stoffel Vandoorne in 14th. Another very poor Saturday for McLaren. But as we saw in Bahrain and in Australia, their race pace is completely different, and it just seems to be in qualifying that they struggle. So they will be fairly confident come the race, but I think they'll still be concerned that they can't seem to switch it on over the course of 1 lap. Brendan Hartley will start in 15th for Toro Rosso on what looks like a difficult weekend for the team. As you can see, they're a little bit further down the order. Sergei Sirotkin, not bad from him at all today, and that's not meant to be condescending in any way, shape or form. Very close to getting out of Q1 and out-qualified his teammate Williams. I don't know if it's the colder temperatures rather than any kind of extra car performance, but they do look a little bit better this weekend. But still, both cars out in Q1. Pierre Gasly, the hero of Bahrain, will start in 17th place provisionally. And Toro Rosso certainly look like they might have their work cut out for tomorrow's Grand Prix. Whether they can do something different on strategy, it's going to be tough, but we shall see. Lance Stroll in P18 there. Charles Leclerc out-qualifies his teammate Marcus Ericsson, who starts in last place. In terms of race strategy, it's likely to be 2 stops for most drivers out there. As we've seen historically, China is very, very hard on the tyres, so a 1-stop strategy, although you could maybe start soft and switch to mediums, perhaps push them to the end of the Grand Prix. The problem with that is you then run the risk of falling off this cliff at the end of each of your stints, and as we've seen in the past, sometimes that can cost you more time than making an extra pit stop. But I guess looking at that grid, if you are a Brendan Hartley, a Sergei Sirotkin or a Marcus Ericsson, you may as well go for that. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. And I'm really hoping that Pirelli decide to go aggressive at other Grand Prix this season, because it really is throwing up a real mix of possible strategies. Before I move on to my one to watch for tomorrow's Grand Prix, I just want to talk about Daniel Ricciardo. He had a suspected turbo failure during FP3, and that left the team rushing to fit a new power unit, and they just managed to do it with 3 minutes remaining in the session. A mega effort from Red Bull. Obviously, replacing a new power unit isn't a quick job, but according to reports on Sky Sports, The replacement Renault power unit wasn't built up, and that's why it took Red Bull so long to get it replaced. And it's definitely clear to see that Red Bull are getting more frustrated than ever with that Renault engine, yet more problems. With decisions to be made in the next few weeks over which engine Red Bull are going to use for 2019 and beyond, it certainly looks as though that relationship is coming to an end. But that is all definitely a topic for another video. Definite frustration at Red Bull. Another driver who had issues was Romain Grosjean. He had a brake-by-wire failure in FP3, and that led to a complete change of the rear brakes ready for quali. Again, great effort there from Haas to get him out for the session. My one to watch then for tomorrow's Grand Prix, and I'm going to go for Kevin Magnussen this time out. He starts in P11, as we said a little bit earlier there. The pace is definitely in that Haas, and as we know, he is very, very aggressive and certainly won't be afraid to try and make up positions during the race, certainly early on off the line, and he will not be backing out of any overtakes. He also gets the free choice of tyre at the start of the race, and so might be able to mix it up with strategy as well. It's definitely going to be interesting to keep your eye on him. So with qualifying done and dusted, who do you think is going to win the Chinese Grand Prix tomorrow? In my preview on Thursday, I said Lewis Hamilton, but it certainly looks, on qualifying at least, that is a bit of a tall order, but we never know when it comes to the race. But let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. I will be back tomorrow shortly after the race, around 9 AM-ish, I think, for the live race debrief. So make sure you come along and join us for that one. However, if you can't watch the race live and don't want the results to be spoiled, the full race review will be up on Monday evening. In the meantime, though, you can follow me on social media. Links to Facebook and Twitter are both in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.